Hello, this is Michael Owens with Here Come the Irish, and you're watching the Two Irish Brothers Show. Go Irish.
What is up, everybody? I am Irish Benjamin 57.
And I'm ND Sean 45.
And together we make up the Two Irish Brothers. What a game we had yesterday, Sean. I don't know how many bottles that you drank yesterday. I don't know anybody that's watching how much drinking you all did. But holy cow. If this is going to be every game, then we are going to have one crazy season. And I don't know what to say. Like, holy cow.
Well, here's the thing. I don't really drink a whole lot, but I might have to invest in some I don't know, buy Tums by the truckload, and a lot of blood pressure medicine. So that tells you all you need to know about yesterday.
Yeah, no, it was a crazy game. It was crazy for a multitude of reasons. On a network that none of us had ever really heard of until last few months. I heard there were a lot of problems with the Peacock network and all that. A lot of people struggled to rewind, fast forward, pause, even get the game on whatever device they're streaming on. So that stinks. That's a bad look for Peacock. And if you want to talk about rough looks, Notre Dame looked pretty rough yesterday. And the other thing that looked really rough was our fan base. I can be disappointed in the team from time to time. I try not to be. I try to be positive. I try to be the guy that's, okay, I don't play for the team. I give my loyalty to them, all that. I defend them to the death. But the disappointment came more for the fans and their reaction to this game. Like I said, just very disheartening to me. People need to remember that what you tweet out, what you put on Facebook is seen by lots of people. You do, A, represent the University of Notre Dame when you tweet out stuff. And B, a lot of these recruits are active. They're active on Twitter. They're active on Facebook. They see these posts. So if you want to trend in the right direction, bad-mouthing the team is never a good idea. Now, being critical is different than bad-mouthing. Facts are facts, and facts don't care about your opinions. And anybody's opinion at that. So that's all I got to say on that topic.
Well, and Ben, obviously, there are a lot of things that I would like to say about that right now and certain people that I would like to talk about, but I'm not going to do that. What's the point? But I will say this, though. There was somebody on Twitter yesterday that called our show here, referred to it as a, quote, dog water show, and said that we were nothing about clickbait and all that stuff. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but clickbait would be just to draw people in, but they get something completely different, right?
Yeah.
I think we advertise as we advertise.
I think that we're pretty upfront. We go more by statistics than anything else. We're not making up some crazy, conspiracy theory of why Notre Dame is going to do this or why this is going to happen, and all that. That's clickbait. And we have a couple writers in the quote unquote Notre Dame Writers Association that do that, and I don't follow any of them. I don't read their stuff. I want nothing to do with any of the stuff that they have to put out.
Well, and also let me just say this. I know our show isn't very big. We're on the verge of only getting 300 subs right now, so we're a relatively small show. But I will say this, though. If we are such a quote, dog water show, then why is it that Irv Smith came on the show? Why is it that Reggie Brooks came on the show? Why is it that Clint Johnson came on the show?
Kelly.
Yeah, well, I'm getting to them too, but these are three very well-known names in Notre Dame football history, especially Reggie Brooks and Irv Smith, who have had some success. And Clint had his success too. Don't get me wrong. But in addition to them, we've had our good friend George Bashura from Shakedown the Thunder Sports, who's been on several times. He has connections to the University of Notre Dame, has a press pass and all that. Lisa Kelly, who is a Notre Dame graduate and is an author who has written 3 books about Notre Dame. So if we were such a dog water show, why would any of those respected people come on? I mean, if they thought that we were that kind of show, no way in hell would they ever come on here.
Right.
So to that person who said that to us and called our show that, you have no clue what you're talking about. And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with that said, Ben, let's get right into yesterday's action. Obviously, and this is something else that's been said about us. People have called us clueless and said that we don't have a clue what we're talking about, that we just settle for mediocrity, which is not true, because you and I have been very critical in the past when a game has not gone our way, when we've lost. They think we're just these shucks, nice guy saps. You just ignore that. No, we don't ignore that. But we're going to be critical, but we're not going to quit on the team just because a game doesn't go our way or because something happens that shouldn't have happened. And what I'm getting at is, I'm just going to be straight up honest. Yesterday's game against Toledo should not have been close. We should have won that game by at least 3 scores. And
yeah.
But I'm not going to quit on this team. And I'm sure you're not going to quit on this team just because we had to pull out a go-ahead touchdown within the last minute.
Yeah. No. And I mean, obviously, we're going to start with the bad. The bad is,
get it out of the way.
You hit the nail right on the head. I mean, you play Toledo, you play a MAC school. No offense to the MAC, but I mean, you play a MAC school, you expect to beat them by a couple touchdowns. I mean, that's an expectation. And if you want to be, as I say in almost every video, if you want to be on that level that is Alabama, that is Clemson, is Ohio State when they have their good years, these are the games that you have to dominate in. And unfortunately for Notre Dame, we seem to just be a broken record when it comes to seeing this. It is Notre Dame plays a school that they should dominate, and they don't. And we've seen it in what year are we in now? Year 12 of the Brian Kelly,
Yes.
and that's nothing against Brian Kelly. That's just a fact. I mean, it's a fact, and like I said when we started our show, we try to deal in absolutes, and that's an absolute. Now,
exactly.
I look at what Notre Dame did yesterday, and I look at what has happened in the first 2 weeks of college football thus far. And thus far, I don't know about you, but the only 2 teams to me that look very, very actually dominant is Alabama and Iowa. And then the runner-up, in my opinion, would be Georgia. Georgia beat up on Clemson, and they blew UAB out of the water. But Alabama has blown both their opponents out of the water, and Iowa has taken care of business against both of their opponents. So, we've seen Ohio State lose. We've seen Clemson lose. We've seen Texas lose, all ranked, mind you. We've seen UNC lose, ranked. Southern Cal lost, ranked. And these are teams that are losing to quote-unquote lesser opponents. Now, Ohio State played Oregon, and Oregon's a pretty good program.
But you look at other examples
Go ahead.
Maybe this isn't the best example because Iowa State was pretty well exposed yesterday, but look at them in their first game. They struggled against a Northern Iowa team, and they only won by 6.
Right. Yeah, so I saw somebody on Twitter, I won't name names, but they said it pretty good, and I'll give them credit where credit's due. College football's been crazy thus far. We haven't seen the pure dominance that we normally see. We've seen FCS schools beat FBS schools. We've seen teams like these MAC teams actually put up a fight against Power 5 teams, and we've seen some Power 5 teams that nobody, I think, saw coming really, except for their maybe fan base, that has done stuff. Now, I'm not saying that's a silver lining for Notre Dame. I'm not. But in the grand scheme of things, you got to put it all in perspective.
Yeah, you can't just focus on us because we've had some close matchups in our first 2 games. A lot of teams had. Miami barely won against Appalachian State yesterday.
Right. So, and I don't know what it is. I mean, is it because of COVID? Is it because of the protocols these teams are having to go through? Is it because of the craziness of last year's season? I mean, it just to me seems like everybody is struggling this year except for like 2 or 3 schools.
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
I don't know. To me, it's weird. I mean, I get that we have upsets. I mean, every year we have upsets. Not only in college football, but college baseball, college basketball, college hockey, you name it. But this year, it just seems like the competition level is a lot closer together than normal. But
yeah,
digressing and going back to Notre Dame struggled yesterday. I mean, we saw it.
I'm just going to say it.
We saw the line struggle like we did against Florida State, and we said it in our preview. You got to get a push up front because it'll be a long day for this Irish offense if they can't handle that pass rush of Toledo. And it's not trying to give Toledo a pat on the back and not trying to break them down. It's you don't have a line, you ain't doing anything. I don't care who you are. You can look at examples at Pee Wee level all the way to pro of where a line helps you win games.
That was our Achilles heel yesterday. That was the difference in this game. Our offensive line had a horrible performance, and when you, like you said, Ben, when you have a offensive line that has a horrible day, that doesn't allow you to run the whole playbook properly. Right. And especially when you have a quarterback like Jack Cohn. And I love Jack Cohn. I think he's performed pretty well through these first 2 games. And just because Brian Kelly brought in Tyler Buckner for a couple series, I wouldn't worry if I was Jack Cohn, because with an offensive line like that, you have to have a quarterback in there that can scramble and make plays on his own.
Right.
Jack Cohn being a predominant pocket passing quarterback, if you're going to play that kind of quarterback, you have to have an offensive line that can give him protection. And our line did not do that for him. So I'm not going to say it was all Jack Cohn's fault.
No, not at all.
I can't say that.
Not at all. And the thing with Jack Cohn and lots of people, I mean, it doesn't take a brainiac to realize this. Jack Cohn's a pocket passer. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to take the ball and run it for 50 yards. I mean, he might scramble a little bit to get away from pressure and to make a pass, but he's not an Ian Book. He's not a Brandon Wimbush. He's not a Deshaun Kaiser. He's not going to tuck the ball and run. And if you have a pocket passer and you don't have a line, well, that pocket passer's day is going to be a pretty long day.
Well, he was sacked 6 times yesterday, and we had 11 tackles for loss. By that Toledo.
And I mean, the greatest example I can give.
That's not good.
The greatest 2 examples I can give you is the same quarterback, 2 different teams, same quarterback. Peyton Manning when he played for the Colts against the Steelers in the AFC Championship when the Super Bowl was in Detroit and the Steelers went on to beat the Seahawks in Detroit. He had no line against that Steelers defense, none. They exposed the crap out of him. Okay. Fast forward to when Peyton Manning is now with the Denver Broncos and he's in the Super Bowl. Seattle's pass rush just totally exposed him. Hall of Fame quarterback, won multiple Super Bowls, won MVPs, done everything under the sun you can do, looked like an average to below average quarterback. That's how it goes. I mean, that's football 101. So, yeah, it sucked. I mean, and guess what? It's going to be a long season, and I'll say it, and you'll say it, if we can't get this O-line problems fixed. I mean, it needs to be fixed.
And I get it. We have some young guys starting on that offensive line. I think they had, 2 freshmen? 2 freshmen playing on the O-line? And I could be wrong about that, but it's a relatively young offensive line. I get that. But freshmen or not, despite the inexperience, you have to step up. You know, the next man in mentality that we've always talked about. You have to step up and protect the quarterback. There was a situation where that offensive line got beat by a 2-man pass rush.
Right.
Inexcusable.
Right.
Inexcusable. And listen. Damn it, I forgot what I was going to say.
But and it's a line problem on both sides of the ball right now. I mean, I don't care. You can point the finger at the offense, but the other finger that you can point is to the defense. I mean, we hyped up this whole Marcus Freeman situation. We hyped it up. We were excited. This guy comes in, everything's looking amazing. You know, we lose a defensive coordinator that we're really high on, but then we replace him with somebody just as good, if not better. And what? We give up how many points to Florida State? We give up how many points to Toledo?
Well, you know something? Let me make a quick comment on that. I actually thought the defense was much improved a week from then when they were a week ago against Florida State, because when you look at it, we only gave up 9 points in the first half. And I'm not going to include the Jack Cohen interception. There's nothing the defense could have done about that. But through the first 3 quarters, we only gave up 9 points. It wasn't until that fourth quarter that we gave up the 2 touchdowns. And I'm sure that had something to do with the defense constantly being on the field with all the, you know, the quick drives by our offense that completely stalled. So I thought the defense actually was improved despite how many points we gave up yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, but, I mean, looking at it from the outside in, you know, there are struggles. And as you said, if it's next man up and we want to see Notre Dame be this team that is competing for national titles and has a legit shot, it has to be next man up. I mean, we see guys go down at Alabama. We see guys go down at Clemson, and it's next man up.
And they're ready to go.
I mean, DJ Uiagalelei came in against Notre Dame in a hostile environment in his first start and threw for how many yards?
Like 443 yards, something ridiculous.
I mean, granted, this year he's not having a great year. You know, he's looked pretty rattled and exposed. I don't know what Georgia did to him that first week. Well, I do know what Georgia did to him, but so I don't know. But it has to be next man up. And I get that struggling, you know, if you're short some guys against a Clemson, against an Alabama, against Oklahoma. I get that. But next man up and struggling against Toledo is a bad look.
Yeah.
You know, and I try not to blame coaches for the actual play of players because obviously the coach can't catch the pass. Obviously he can't block. I get that. But, man, it's harder and harder every week sometimes to defend the coaching staff. I mean, it's hard because it's like, okay, you had a week to prepare for this. You know what they're bringing at you. It's not like you're coming in a couple years ago like with Louisville. Okay, well, Louisville got a brand-new coach, brand-new offensive coordinator. You have no idea what they're going to run exactly. You can go off of some of the tape, but you don't really know what you're getting. Well, Toledo, you know what you're getting. And I mean, and we've seen this in the past. I mean, the debacle up in Ann Arbor a couple of years ago. I mean, we had 2 weeks to prepare for Michigan, and Michigan blew us out of the water.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so.
Well, and I will say this about the coaching staff. I mean, because obviously yesterday we heard a lot of people, you know, on Twitter and social media calling for Brian Kelly to be fired, and those people know who they are. But let me tell you, let me just say this. One person told me, well, Brian Kelly, he's ahead of the defensive coordinator. He's ahead of the offensive line coach. Who else should be held responsible? Well, let me say this. Brian Kelly should be able to rely on his assistant coaches to do their job. Because you can't put everything on Brian Kelly just because he's ahead of them.
Right.
It's Jeff Quinn's job to coach the offensive line. It's Mike Mickens' job to coach the defensive backs. It's Tommy Reese's job to call the plays.
Right.
So you have to be able to rely on your assistants to do their jobs as well. So you can't all put all of it on Brian Kelly. And and let me just say this: when people call for Brian Kelly's head, answer me this question. This is a legit question to all our viewers who happen to see this video. Who's out there that is just as good, if not better? Who is your answer that's available right now to replace Brian Kelly? Because if you're going to fire somebody, you better have a candidate ready to go. So tell me, who is that person that you can get since you want Kelly out so bad? Yeah. Give me that answer. Who is out there that's available, that you want to see in here? And give names, people. I know I just pulled a Barry Bonds there, but give me a name. Give me a name of somebody who is better. The fact that you would want a coach fired who has taken us to places that we have not been since Lou Holtz. Granted, the BCS National Championship game, the playoffs have not gone well for us. That speaks for itself. We don't deny that. We've never denied when things go bad for this team. But You actually want a coach in Brian Kelly that has had the kind of success that he's had to be fired? I mean,
yeah.
You got to, because look, just because a coach doesn't win a national championship does not mean he's a bad coach. Look at the good that he has done for us.
There are lots of coaches that never get to the national title that were really, really great coaches. Now,
I mean, look at Bobby Bowden. It took him. He was a great coach. It took him forever to win a national championship. I mean, Florida State stuck with him.
I look, like with where we live. I mean, we both live in Illinois, so I mean, you look a little further up north. I mean, look at Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern. He's a great coach. I mean, I don't like Northwestern. I go to war against them all the time. I get into it with fans and all that. I give them trouble, but Pat Fitzgerald's a good coach. I mean, if Pat Fitzgerald quit and Brian Kelly quit and he came to Notre Dame, I would be happy. He's a good coach. I'll give credit where credit's due. So yeah, but going back to being responsible for your stuff, all of us have jobs. Well, most of us have jobs. I don't know. Maybe not every single person watching the show has a job, and I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad.
Right. I got you.
But I mean, like at your job, we all have a boss. We do. I mean, we have a guy that is quote unquote in charge of us.
Somebody that you have to answer to.
That I answer to or you answer to. Okay. Well, if I don't do my work, okay, well, does he get fired if I don't do my work or do I get fired? That's the way I look at that.
Yeah. You have to.
Now, he probably gets in trouble. He might get in trouble from, higher up the company. Sure. But he's not going to get fired if I'm messing up. I'm going to get fired. So that's the way I look at, like you said, the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, the D-line, the O-line, the running backs coach. I mean, blame can't just solely be placed on Brian Kelly. This is across the board. I mean, and we've had our beef, and a lot of other people have their beef with Tommy Rees. I mean, last week we saw him make Jack Cohen do a quarterback run.
Yeah, on 3rd and 5.
I mean, it's Jack Cohen. Like Tyler Buckner, sure. I give it to Tyler Buckner. 3rd and 5, give it to Tyler Buckner, let him figure it out. But you take your slower of your 3 quarterbacks, because, I mean, Cohen's probably the slowest of our big 3 quarterbacks on that roster, and you're going to make him run the ball? But anyway, moving on to, as I kind of did a caveat for that with Tyler Buckner, we saw some Tyler Buckner action yesterday.
Yeah, I was actually going to comment about that.
It's pretty exciting. We hyped up Dracovic, but we never really got that legit sample size that we were wanting. We've hyped up Buckner, and Buckner looked pretty good in his little micro start, if you will, that he had yesterday. So
this is going to be his team after Jack Cohen is gone. Safe to say, and it's honestly good that it was nice to see him stay. Because here's the thing: if that offensive line is going to be like this the whole season, God forbid that's not the case. That Jeff Quinn figures something out here with that line to fix them.
Right.
Then you're going to need to play a guy who can run his way out of trouble. And don't get the wrong idea. I love Jack Cohn. I love what he's done for us through 2 games. He has the arm, and damn did he make a nice play to Michael Mayer on the go-ahead touchdown with a dislocated finger nonetheless. Which that was awesome. So he kept, that you have to go 80 yards for a touchdown. He keeps his composure, has a couple nice throws one nice throw to Kevin Austin. Another nice throw to, I think it was Kieran Williams out of the backfield, and then there was a penalty off on that. Well, actually, I think it was just 2 plays, wasn't it, on that final drive? The big play to Kevin Austin. Well, then there was a penalty, and then from the 18-yard line, Jack Cohn finds Michael Mayer in the end zone for the go-ahead score. So there was plenty of good in yesterday's game. We finally saw
his stat line.
Yeah, his stat line was
3 for 3. Okay, Buckner went 3 for 3, 78 yards, 1 touchdown, and a long of 55. Well, I mean, how can you? I mean,
well, and then he ran, and then he ran for 68 yards on 7 carries. And Jack Cohn, even though they were going back and forth with quarterbacks, he was still 21 of 33 for 239 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and he had the 1 pick six that could have hurt us, but thank God it didn't.
Yeah.
But we also finally got to see some flashes of the running game. I mean, when you open the holes,
Kyren Williams and Tyree will get it done if you open those lanes.
Yes. Kyren Williams, 78 yards on 16 carries with 1 touchdown, 4.9 yards a carry on the average there. So if we get this offensive line fixed, this is going to be a dangerous football team.
Yeah.
There's talent all across the board.
Fixing. It's all, I mean, you can't tell me these guys don't know what to do. I mean, obviously you are not only at a quote unquote, I mean, what does Notre Dame count as? They count as a Power 5? I mean,
there are Power 5s. I mean, we're affiliated with the ACC.
I mean, it's you can't tell me these guys don't know what's going on. I mean, I get that, like, you're going to blow an assignment. I get that. I mean, that happens. Whatever, but you can't tell me these guys don't know what's going on. Obviously, they do. You know, so if the things get fixed, we're a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
But what I liked, here's the biggest thing I liked. We're on the like train as opposed to problems here. That offense of Notre Dame has turned a corner, in my opinion. Notre Dame has gone from, okay, we need something to get going, and we hope it gets going, to we need something to get going, and we get it going. Because look at what happened in that game yesterday. I mean, that's an offense. That's how offense needs to be. That's how, going forward, if we improve the offense even more, we're even more dangerous.
Yes.
Oh,
absolutely.
I've seen against Florida State now and Toledo an offense that goes, okay, we need a touchdown, they get it. As opposed to in the past where it's like we need a touchdown and then we get a field goal or we don't get any points at all.
Well, and also think of it this way. Normally, these would have been games in the past that we would have lost, and now we're winning them.
Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, too. I mean, and people want to, since I mentioned it, Florida State. Okay, Florida State lost to Jacksonville State last night. Okay, and now people are like, oh, well, look at this, look at this, and all that. Okay, both of Florida State's games, okay, they're 0-2. Florida State could easily be 2-0. But see, Notre Dame figured out and got going what they needed to get going, and instead of being 0-2 like Florida State, Notre Dame's 2-0.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying it's pretty. It's not. I mean, both games have been pretty rough. Especially for our health. I mean, everybody's been talking about that on Twitter and Facebook. Oh my gosh, my health. I don't know if I can survive another week like this. I mean, we've all been joking about that. And we're not wrong. I mean, our hearts are, I think pacemakers are going to become a thing in the Notre Dame fan base pretty quickly if this continues. But I mean, yeah. So, do you want to be 0-2 or do you want to be 2-0?
I'd rather be 2-0. I don't care how close it is. Undefeated is better than defeated.
It's like the saying goes, good teams find ways to win.
Exactly. And on that note, Ben, we better hear a word from our sponsor before I forget.
Hey, Vern, I see you brought the youngins in for a double dip of that Brahms ice cream. They're humongous, ain't they? And big, too. Let old Ernest help, okay? Now, let's see. Who got the vanilla? Who got the butter pecan? And who got the strawberry? And Vern, I bet you got the chocolate. Don't you want yours, Vern? Well, pay the lady.
I could see myself doing that to you. You buy ice cream for everybody except me. I'll be like, and Ben, I bet you got the chocolate. Don't you want yours? Don't you want yours, Ben? Well, pay the lady, damn it.
Yeah. Gotta love Ernest P. Worrell.
All right. Well, the bottom line is this, Ben. We know that these kids are busting their asses off. They're trying to get better. It's got to start showing on the field. And for everybody who thinks that we just settle for mediocrity, that's not true. It's just, we're just not going to quit on the team. We call it as we see it, but we're not going to quit on the team. We're going to encourage them and hope to God that things get better because we back our team unconditionally. It's like a parent who loves their child unconditionally. Unconditional love. That's what it is.
Hit the nail on the head right there.
We tell the truth.
Right there.
We tell the truth, but we do not quit. These are our boys. These are not boys, men. These are our guys. And we're going to stick with them through good and bad.
Yep.
And whatever happens on the field happens, we'll still be with them.
Yep.
But we're going to tell the truth.
Yep.
So Ben, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I got nothing, Sean. We hit the nails on the head.
All right. Well, on that note, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Ben 57.
And as always, God bless, good night, and go Irish.
Go Irish.